For nearly a decade now, Amy Knipp has looked forward to walking through these doors at the end of the day.
It's my home. It's where I got my first dog. It's where I've had lots of ups and downs, and it's everything to me.
But she worries she might not be able to afford to live here much longer. Her landlord applied for an above-guideline rent increase, or AGI, during the pandemic rent freeze in 2021. Then the property sold. The new landlord took over the AGI, and residents are fighting it at the Landlord and Tenant Board. If it's approved, Knipp will owe around $1,000 in retroactive rent.
If this AGI gets approved, it'll be do I pay my rent this month or do I eat?
AGIs allow landlords who've done major capital work to apply to increase rent by up to 3% a year for 3 years to help pay for that work. That's on top of the annual rent increase set by the province. This AGI is to recoup costs for new boilers, roof replacement, paving, and something listed as the most expensive cost, nearly $300,000, which has the tenants protesting.
Tenant! Power! Tenant! Power! Tenant!
That's site remediation, which the tenants argue is actually their landlord trying to get them to largely pay for the process of environmental testing to acquire a report, which is needed to help greenlight the property for sale or redevelopment. The neighborhood tenant union argues it doesn't benefit residents and isn't an eligible AGI expense.
We've seen nothing like this before, and it is absolutely outrageous. It's also a demonstration of how above-guideline increase applications are being abused over and over and over again by landlords.
Assistant Professor Nimoy Lewis researches the corporatization of housing. He says he'd be surprised if the site remediation expense is approved.
We could be setting a dangerous precedent if the adjudicator at the Landlord-Tenant Board Tribunal approves these expenses, largely because these expenses are non-essential.
Landlord QMW Corp said its AGI is justified and the work is essential to maintaining and improving living conditions for tenants. In a statement saying, the AGI request aligns with regulations allowing recovery for upgrades that enhance tenant living standards, not for future redevelopment. Our goal is to balance immediate tenant needs with long-term property plans, including the possibility of adding new rental units to the city's housing needs. Tenants like Sheikh Hussein are afraid of what's next. Investor documents show a plan from 2021 to renovate 3/4 of the 115 units to increase rental income. It also shows this, a conceptual drawing of a 36-story condo and another 9-story building added to the property.
This is my home, and I don't want to leave here.
QMW is adamant it's not displacing tenants to raise rents. As for any potential redevelopment, that's in the early stages. Nothing has been submitted for approval, but there is an upcoming meeting with the city. The AGI dispute is currently before the province's Landlord and Tenant Board. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.